All right, I've been going back and forth about whether or not to read the letter that Shannon sent to just my husband, which is 4 pages long, because this one is harder for me because she is so very cruelly manipulative. And if Shannon had been the genuine person that I thought she was, I would have been really excited to have her as a sister. But that's not what happened, so let's read this. Stephen, I'm not even sure where to start. In your message to your brother, you mentioned that something has been building for a while. And of course, when you share all of the instances where you perceived that we were disrespecting you, I can see why. I'm sorry that you didn't feel like you could come talk to us to discuss your concerns before they spiraled into the situation we have now, blocking and unfriending and not even wanting to talk to us. I don't want to point any fingers with this communication. I simply want to address all of your concerns and share my side of the story. Okay, it's already dripping with kerosene. It's so full of gaslighting because all of the problems, all probably 30-something problems that we shared are all perceived problems and not real. First of all, from our side, we truly did not feel any animosity towards you or McGann as far as inviting/not inviting to events, because they're the ones that control all of the events in the family, and they're always not telling us when anything's happening. So it also doesn't make sense because David's original text, if you follow the chain up that far back, he shows and expresses a lot of animosity towards me and me refusing, quote unquote, to go to their events. You seem to think we were excluding you and we thought you didn't want to hang out with us. I do want to apologize for that miscommunication. From my perspective, we felt like we did invite and include you as often as we could. When we kept getting responses that you couldn't come to things, initially we took it personally. So right there she admits that there's animosity and that they were taking it as a personal attack if we had things already booked. But eventually we realized that the two of you were starting your own family and had your own thing going on. Again, not at all expressed in what David has said. We thought we were respecting that. For you to feel excluded was not our intent at all. I'm sorry you felt that way. I'm sorry that we have not invited you to make Christmas cookies with the family or that we have not included you when we have set up holiday events. None of that. I'm sorry you felt that way, which is just blame shifting. As far as not treating McGann right, I'm completely heartbroken to think that you truly believe this. She doesn't give a shit what I believe, the person who actually experienced this from her. I did everything I could to try to make her feel welcome. I know you mentioned McGann's long blocks of text to me. I am not a writer. I don't usually send long blocks of text to anyone. Bold-faced fucking lie, because when I was asking her questions, when I was at the end of my rope with my husband Stephen early in our relationship, and I'm like, I can't tell if he's autistic or if he just doesn't like me. Can you tell me if this behavior is typical from what you have seen of Stephen? Like, I came to her to talk like girl to girl honestly because I didn't have anybody else that could understand him. All the people I went to were like, yeah, he defies all logic when it comes to how men typically respond to things. So I did come to Shannon. I did like reach out and build that friendship up over like issues with Stephen, and that's on me. That was my choice to do that. But this idea that she doesn't text, like, bitch was sending me long-ass blocks of text back. My texts tend to be short, sweet, and to the point because as far as communicating effectively, I prefer to do so in person. Which, again, you'd have to see somebody in person to be able to do that. So, again, doesn't make sense. Texts never come across the way we want them to. Not to mention technology doesn't always work the way we think, as is evidenced by many of our texts to each other being not received or kicking us out of text, especially in group texts. Okay, because one time there was a group text with me, Shannon, and Stephen, and I had to send the message twice and basically say, I don't know what happened, the group text kicked me out, but here's what I just sent. She's acting like that is a common, frequent occurrence. And I'm so mad. Like, you can probably see the picture doesn't look good. I'm so mad reading this. I'm shaking. Often I'm driving or at work, and whenever someone sends me a text, I'm more concerned with not forgetting to text them back, so my messages are generally something like, okay, thanks, or just LOL. That's just me. That has never been my experience with her. As far as freezing her out, this was not the case at all either. I've reread all of our texts multiple times over this past week to find out what I could have possibly sent that's so terrible, and I honestly don't see any changes in friendliness. Okay, and this is where it's mean girl bullshit. Because yes, on the surface, anything that I had in hand that I could screenshot, she has always been very fake and very, you know, mean girl-esque of, hey, yeah, it's so wonderful, love you. It's when you walk away or you don't have the phone that, yeah, I'm like shaking, you can't even see. But it's when you are not in front of her or recording her, getting it in writing, whatever, where Shannon's being like, that's the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen. Like, that's Shannon. And of course, I didn't know that at first, but I've learned it pretty thoroughly now. Not to mention, instead of coming to me, the party who is saying, hey, I am hurt by your actions and being frozen out by you, she's writing a letter addressed only to my husband saying how she's never done anything wrong and she's a pretty little princess. Like, why wouldn't you go directly to the source? She's never gone to the photographer either and said, what's the miscommunication here? Because I thought this. And I think they're doing that because they know that they're lying and they know that they're full of shit. So instead of coming to me and saying, hey, what happened? Like, this was my perspective. Like, what's going on? Like, I didn't mean to hurt you. Let's work this out. She's going to my husband and insinuating your wife's a liar, which is more mean girl bullshit. And moreover, not only is she freezing me out by not addressing me directly in this letter, but the freeze out happened, and you can tell it happened because all of a sudden we had the miscarriage. Shannon said the mean comment of, Stephen never wanted that baby, he was just forced into it, to me privately alone. And then all of a sudden she stopped texting me completely, when before she's sending me pictures of her going to see the Mothman statue with David. She's sending me, oh, hey, we're going to do this. We're doing that. Do you guys want to come see this? Would you like to do that? Like, she is constantly texting me because we were friends, I thought. And then the miscarriage conversation happens and she cannot be bothered to speak to me again. She is suddenly only texting Stephen about plans, knowing that Stephen has ADHD and he often forgets to respond, because that's why she and I started handling all the plans between ourselves, because Stephen would forget to correspond between people. He would be like, oh, I got to check with McGann about if we're still doing this, and then just totally lose track of it. Like, that's just him. And I would love to say it's not an excuse, but I have learned over the last few years that that is legitimately how he is. So Shannon and I always handled everything, and all of a sudden, now we don't. That's freezing me the fuck out, bitch. Before you shared with us about the miscarriage, McGann and I did text a lot. She was going through some pretty serious things, including a new relationship with you, as well as the divorce. And I did talk with her a lot about this. So you're even admitting in your next section here, yes, we did talk back and forth a lot in text. There was a point in our text where she's venting about things going on between the two of you. Okay, you can low-key try to tell on me. I don't care. And I supported her throughout. Again, my husband has seen all these texts. I do not say things to people that I would not say to the party's face. So every complaint I had to Shannon, I said it to Stephen's face at one point or another. Then when you went public with your relationship on Facebook, as stated in a text, what is she talking about? Like, okay, at our 1-year anniversary, my now husband made us like Facebook official, but we never had like a secret relationship. We had all kinds of posts back and forth. He just, I don't know, he wanted to save it as a celebration marker to put like in a relationship with McGann. Things seem to be better between the two of you, and that's why we weren't long texts, and that's why there weren't long texts anymore. There are plenty of random happy birthday texts, and then some, hey, I thought of you when I saw this at the store type texts. You are welcome to take a look at my phone and see everything. I have never not replied or been cold in these texts. Absolutely has. She absolutely has. That's a goddamn lie. I know you mentioned that we had made plans to see the Barbie movie. I do not recall specifically making plans with the two of you. I intended to get a group together to dress up and go to the movies. There's a text string in April of last year where I asked McGann what she thought of bringing the Barbie box to the movies and doing a video montage of everyone we bring who dresses up. I fully intended on inviting a whole group of folks, including you two, to participate in this. But she didn't, and she said she didn't know if she was going to follow through, so we invited her to the movies with us, with our discount on the app, and she said yes. That's the part she's skipping right over. So yes, she did talk about it at one time, and then she said, no, let's do it with you, and then she made the party go back on. I may not be recalling correctly, but I really could have sworn that I said I would put a call out on Facebook to see who wanted to join. Nobody said shit to us, and nobody invited us.